sidelines, with him also wiping any trace of it from his channel. So you then had Normie moving over to Kick, where he was met with the same pleas from viewers to stop this and just please go to sleep for his own well-being. And what we saw there is that shortly after he got the stream back up and running, Kick also took it down and banned him, which then led him to moving on to Rumble and asking Elon Musk to allow for streaming on X, saying, "I've been banned from every site because I stayed up past my bedtime." But with all this, it does appear that he did end up breaking the record for staying awake for nearly 265 hours straight, with him now just streaming himself sleeping. But with all that said, this is one of the few times where you see a stunt online and you kind of just hope that it's fake, because based off of past accounts of people trying stuff like this, it sounds like he may have set himself up for long-term damage. And it's unfortunately yet another example of people that are willing to hurt themselves for any kind of online notoriety. And in this specific case, what did you do it for? To be able to say you broke a record that's not even recognized? Cool story, bro. And then let's talk about it. There were some requests for it. Let's talk about some internet drama, right? And at the center of the situation, you have creators Tana Mojo and Brooke Schofield, right? They're the hosts of the Canceled podcast. And if you're familiar with this space, you might have seen that earlier this month, old tweets that Brooke posted between 2012 and 2015, they started going viral. With those, including one where she defended George Zimmerman killing Trayvon Martin. There were also others with generally racist jokes and comments mocking black people's hair. Others where it appears that she used a homophobic slur. But then all of that leading to her apologizing on TikTok.
I feel the same way about them that you do. I think they're so disturbing, they're wrong, they're horrible, and they're disgusting.
Then you had Brooke specifically addressing the post about Trayvon Martin, saying that she was raised by conservative grandparents who always had Fox News on, so that was all she knew when it came to politics when she was younger.
Sometimes you have these people that you put on a pedestal and you think everybody older than you is smarter than you and knows everything, and they do not. There are people in my life who I might have looked up to forever who I do not agree with. I'm sorry. Very, very sorry.
But that apology, it wasn't generally received well, with people thinking that she was passing the blame on and not owning up to her own actions. And so with that, she ended up posting a follow-up trying to take more accountability.
The tweets were racist. Okay, there's no getting around that. The fact of the matter is nobody forced me to tweet those things. I tweeted those things on my own, and the blame is on me.
And with all this, saying she knows that not everyone's going to forgive her, but she's going to do all the learning she can, and she later added that she's donating to the Trayvon Martin Foundation. But then after that, there was still a lot of controversy and criticism, which then seemingly prompted Tana to address the situation on yesterday's episode of the Canceled podcast.
And I've made it very clear to Brooke as well that I condemn her for these tweets, and they're fucking horrible, and I have no right to forgive her as a white person for the things that she said.
Tana also adding there that she didn't handle the situation well herself because she initially commented on Brooke's apology that they both grew up bad, but she now regrets that.
It's not enough to just write these things off as we grew up bad, and I think that I learned that now, and that shows me that I still have things to learn and unlearn.
Tana noting that she's made racist and hurtful jokes in her past and will always apologize, but she also knows some people probably don't want to hear it from her, but still saying she has grown, and that's why she wanted to talk about Brooke.
I'm hoping Brooke is taking the time right now to reflect and grow and learn in a lot of the ways that I did. When I told Brooke this the other day, I said, you have to make peace with the fact that there will be people that never forgive you, and this may recirculate for the rest of your life, and you have to be ready to be open and honest and talk about it.
With Tana then going on to say that she's donating the proceeds of that podcast episode as well as her TikTok creator fund to the Trayvon Martin Foundation. And as far as the public reaction there, if you look at the comments on the video, they are mixed. Some saying people need to allow other people to grow. Others are mad that Brooke's not the one saying all these things, saying that it should have been Brooke on the podcast to address the audience herself. Some on Twitter thinking that it looked like Tana was just throwing Brooke under the bus, even calling Tana a hypocrite. Though others then countering that, saying, no, this shows how much Tana has grown up. With all that, I gotta ask, where do you land on this? Right, because as an outsider looking in here, I don't have a dog in this fight, and those who have watched me for a while know that I'm a big believer in that people can change. But I think where Brooke's gonna have a problem is with trust. And that's in part because of something she said in one of her videos as well as one of the previously deleted tweets. Right, because one of the big things she said in her video is, when I went to college, all of a sudden I was introduced to so many different viewpoints. There was so much diversity. And with that saying,
I wrote my college thesis on racial disparities. So how things like socioeconomic standing, health, housing, income, and so many other things can be affected by your race. I didn't stop learning there, and I don't plan to stop learning about these issues ever.
But then the issue for a lot of people is going to be that she also tweeted in the past, I started faking liberal views when writing college papers, and it's so concerning how much my grades have improved since. And so you have a lot of people going, okay, so does that mean everything we're seeing now, is that just more faking? And fortunately or unfortunately for Brooke, whatever the truth may be, that is in the eye of the beholder. Or the people she's trying to apologize to now, their perception is their reality. So yeah, I gotta ask, especially if you're fans or former fans, what are your thoughts here? And then next up, let's talk about updates to that scary Taylor Swift situation in Vienna. Because the shows in the city got canceled after a potential terrorist attack was foiled, and when we talked about it last week, 2 arrests had already been made. But now, a third person has been arrested, and the AP reporting that the suspect is an 18-year-old Iraqi citizen. An official saying that he had pledged an oath of allegiance to the Islamic State and was from the same social environment as the main suspect. You also had the Austrian interior minister saying he had been in contact with the main perpetrator but is not directly connected to the attack plan. With that arrest coming as investigators are reportedly really scrutinizing the networks of the suspect. But as all that is playing out, all eyes are currently on Taylor's London shows, especially because some of the fans who were supposed to see her in Austria are doing whatever they can to see the show at Wembley Stadium. But this also, as there are people on the total opposite side of this right now who are trying to get rid of tickets because they no longer feel safe. With a number of fans saying their anxiety won't even let them step foot inside the stadium, so they're trying to get rid of their tickets. And while right now the show is set to kick off Thursday and you have many fans wondering if that'll change, you have city officials saying that the plan is to just have the shows. But this also is notably there are reports claiming security is getting beefed up. You have TMZ reporting that Wembley is using a private counterterrorism security firm. And this, yes, because of what happened in Vienna, but also because of ongoing riots and protests in the UK, which have already strained police in the country. And while Wembley is yet to really say anything specific about the shows, its page for the Eras Tour does say that no one is allowed to gather and stand outside the entrance of the stadium. Though notably, that statement has been there since at least June, according to Time magazine. But it's also understandable why that would be a rule because, I mean, the Vienna attack would have allegedly targeted thousands of fans who stand outside of Taylor's shows. And then, so y'all get this, Ridge, a fantastic sponsor of the PDS, they're doing a massive sweepstakes where the winner can get a Hennessy Velociraptor gold-plated Cybertruck or $100,000 cash now through September 13th. And the best part? You can enter for free. Without spending $1, you can enter on their website for the chance to win. Ridge will even give you 4 times the entries if you purchase the Cyber Wallet or Hennessy specialty products using my link. And y'all, Ridge is the must-have wallet with RFID blocking, holding up to 12 cards, plus having room for cash, and it comes in over 30 colors and styles to choose from. Plus, I don't just promote them, I use them, right? This was my go-to, now I just switched to the Hennessy. And not to mention their sleek and durable key case holding up to 1 to 6 keys, and their air tags for those prone to misplace things. And to be really clear, there are a variety of ways to enter these sweepstakes, both free and through purchasing products. Purchasing through ridge.com/DeFranco will also earn you additional entries in the drawing. So what the heck are you waiting for? Just head on over to ridge.com/DeFranco and remember every dollar spent gains you an entry to win one of the prizes. Also, which one would you choose? The Hennessy Velociraptor gold-plated Cybertruck or $100,000 cash? Let me know in the comments. And then, who won the Olympics, right? They're over. Should be an easy thing to figure out, right? But it also depends on which numbers you care most about. Or for the most popular metric, it was a tie with both the United States and China clinching 40 gold medals in a rivalry that was neck and neck right up until the last day. With that being how almost everyone except the United States, including the official Olympics website, Google, and practically every non-American publication ranks the countries by total gold medals. But y'all, this is America. We do things different. We say, fuck the metric system, makes too much sense. We invade countries without UN approval. That's right, UN, you sit in that chair in the corner. We even write the date as month, day, year instead of day, month, year, which arguably makes more sense. Since when do we ever let being totally alone in something stop us from doing it? So when it comes to the Olympics, we count overall medals, including gold, silver, and bronze. Or so what if Australia won the gold medal for the 100-meter backstroke? America, we won silver and bronze. Temporarily, we say, fuck a gold medal, we beat Australia 2-1. We essentially Eiffel Towered Australia on the podium, right? And so by that metric, we don't tie with China, we beat them as well. With the United States taking home 126 medals overall this year compared to China's 91. Though also, I will say, joking aside, if you tie on gold medals, it does make sense to go, oh, well, who won overall then? Right, at least as a tiebreaker. And with all this said, as I slowly come down from the overdose of patriotism the Olympics for some reason give me, to be fair, both sides of this ranking question, they have valid points. Right? Arguably, it doesn't make sense to completely discount silver and bronze medals since those represent real achievements. But it also doesn't make sense to just count all medals equally since some represent more achievement than others, which is also why some have come up with a system that weighs medals differently for each country's overall score. Though even there, I will note the US takes first place. But then others argue that whether you count gold medals, overall medals, or a weighted system, all those metrics unfairly favor countries with large populations and powerful economies, you know, like the US, China, and those in Western Europe. So some have actually proposed looking instead at each country's number of medals per capita. Though if you do that, the US drops to 47th place. But then all the top spots go to tiny island nations like Grenada, Dominica, St. Lucia. And so there, one way to fix that is to limit the rankings to countries with a population of at least 1 million people, in which case New Zealand actually takes the top spot. But then, you know, all those countries that fall below that threshold, they get arbitrarily excluded, which is why instead some Olympics nerds have turned to what the Guardian calls the Goldilocks model. Right? And so this would determine how many medals a country would be expected to win given its population size. Then it compares that to the actual number of medals won, and it uses uses an equation to calculate how improbable the difference is. Right? And so when you do that, Australia actually beats everyone else by far with a score of 41, with France and Britain coming behind at 32, followed by the Netherlands with 26, and the US in 5th place with 22. But then finally here, China, who remember was tied for first place,